In this video, you'll learn about the armature modifier, weight paint mode, vertex group, and everything related to weight painting. Now I'll explain the basics of weight painting. Here we have the steps in order as you can see. First, create the armature modifier, then the vertex groups, and after that, parenting. Let's start now. If I move this bone, the cube doesn't move. So add an armature modifier. Now I need to specify which armature object the cube attaches to. Copy the armature name and paste it in the modifier, or use the eyedropper. And sample the armature. We need the armature to use vertex groups, that's why bind to vertex groups is tagged. By default it's tagged, so leave it at that. So now if you move the bone, it's still not moving because we didn't make vertex groups yet. The vertex group must have the same name as the bone. In object mode, you see the name of the object, but in pose mode, you see the name of the bone. It's called cube with capital C. You could just copy the name. And here add a vertex group in object data properties. The green triangle basically. After you create it, change the name to the bone's name. Even after all this, the bone will not move anything. In the modifier, we wanted Blender to move the object using the vertex group of this armature. But I didn't assign the vertex group we created to any part of the object. Now in edit mode, you can assign vertex groups to vertices. Here we have the amount of weight. 100% means the vertices will move 100%. Let's test this vertex and assign it. Now because I'm using the armature modifier, which uses vertex groups, and the vertex group controls that vertex, and this one controls that vertex group, it should work. As you can see. Instead of doing assign from here, you could directly do it like this. Select the armature, then shift select the object. Go to weight paint mode. Blue means this bone will not move any point in this object. We gotta paint it. Use an add brush to add weight. Set both the weight and strength to 1. Also hold Z to go to wireframe view, which makes it easier to see. If you click, it will become red. Red means 100% movement. Blue means 0% movement. Moving the bone will move the red vertex. Now let's try using the subtract brush to subtract. As you can see, it changed in real time. We'll use the add brush now and paint everything back. Now the object moves with the bone because the weight is red. So we talked about the armature modifier and vertex group. A vertex group is specific to each bone. Let's move on to parenting. If I move the armature in object mode, so basically move the object, the cube won't follow. So select the cube, then shift select the armature and Control P. Don't pick automatic weight, just pick object. Now they should move together. Now let's explore automatic weight. Remember everything we've done manually like the armature modifier and creating vertex groups? If you do automatic weight, it'll do all that automatically. We'll create armature modifier, vertex group, parenting, and also weight paint. So right now we don't have an armature modifier or any vertex group. I'll do automatic weight. It created 3 vertex groups for the top bone, middle bone, and last bone. It didn't create one for these bones because I've disabled deform. Here I have it disabled in bone properties. I've disabled it for these bones because they're just controllers. As for these, I have it enabled because they will deform the actual object. One more thing, it did the parenting, as you can see. Also the armature modifier. And now it will deform. Now you'll learn how to adjust the weight. Select the rig, then shift select the object and go to weight paint mode or Control Tab. Control left click a bone to select it and adjust its weight. The weight is moving these areas, but blue areas aren't following. I'll paint the knee to follow the foot. See what happened? Obviously we want the foot to only control the areas around the foot, not the knee. Use subtract brush to subtract the weight on the knee. You can also use the blur brush to smooth the weight on the foot. Now I'll try to fix the knee. Use the blur brush Don't forget to enable auto normalize, which normalizes the weight across different bones. Sometimes you reach a point where you can't paint a vertex group no more. That's because this vertex is shared between two different bones. So try to smooth the weight from the surrounding bones, not just single bone. As I said, sometimes you'll have to smooth a vertex from another bone, not the current one. I'll add weight here to make the vertices go down a little. Use lower strength to have more control. Going down, as you can see. That's basically what you need to know about weight painting and rigging. This is exactly what we're gonna use to rig the character. By the way, I'm doing Ctrl left click to select the bones so we can paint on them, if that wasn't clear. The color purple means the selected bone doesn't have a vertex group. The colored bones mean they have vertex groups and weights and can be painted on. So what we usually do is create a pose and try to adjust the weights accordingly. And that's basically rigging and weight painting in a nutshell.